Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. How are you doing? I hope you're doing well. Today's video is sponsored by italki and I'm very happy to work with italki for this video because as some of you already know, I work on italki as a legal English teacher and I've done this for many years. And I'm also a student on italki. I have taken Italian classes as well as Portuguese classes when I used to study Portuguese. So I'd like to talk to you today not just about my own personal experience as a teacher on italki, but also I'd like to give you some useful and practical information about how this platform works. I've spoken quite a lot about italki in the past podcast episodes, and in this short announcement, I'll go into a bit more detail. So, what is italki? italki is a huge international community of teachers and students who are teaching and learning languages. So, if you need to study a language, not just English, but and not just legal English, but really any language, you can find a teacher on italki because there are over 10,000 teachers and around 130 languages are taught on this platform. As well as that, there are around 5 million students who are studying on italki. So that's actually more than the population of Wales, which is my homeland. Now, there are professional teachers who are qualified teachers who you have to pay to have classes with. And these are great if you are really dedicated and you want to study something specific. For example, you want to study grammar, you want to study business English, you want to study legal English, specific topics where you really need to have a very attentive and specialized teacher. But there are also community teachers, and these are not qualified teachers. They're just people who are there who want to teach, and you can have conversation classes with them and just generally practice the language. And as you would probably expect, they generally cost much less than the professional teachers. So if you're just looking to practice your conversation skills, you could consider booking a class with a community teacher. Another nice feature on italki is that you can find a language partner. So let's say you're Spanish and you want to learn English, you can find an English person who wants to learn Spanish. And instead of paying for classes, you can simply exchange language for free. For example, you can schedule a Skype call and you speak half an hour in English and half an hour in Spanish. This is quite a good feature for translators, for example, because you might be able to find other translators who are willing to swap, to exchange language skills, and also to practice your writing skills so you can swap translations and learn from each other. So if you're interested in this more informal approach, if you're interested in making friends through italki, then I suggest that you look for a language partner. I kind of think of this feature as being the modern day equivalent of a pen pal. So, in the past at least this happened when I was at school. When I was studying French at school, my French class was connected with a group of French students in France who were studying English, and we used to write to each other to practice language. And then eventually we had a school exchange where we all went to France. We were hosted by the families, and the French students then came and stayed with us in England. So the online language partners is kind of the equivalent modern day version of the pen pal. So that's an overview of the different types of teachers that you can find on italki. And now I'd like to focus on a few specific features of the platform. So first of all, how do you book a class? Once you've chosen your teacher, you can look at their schedule and find a time that best suits you. The lessons are really quite flexible, because if you book a class and it turns out that you can't actually do this class, you can cancel up to 24 hours in advance and you get a full refund. You could also simply reschedule the class, and you do all that just simply by clicking a button. Another thing is that it's really very comfortable, because you can take classes wherever you want, provided you have, of course, got an internet connection. So if you want to have class at work, if you want to simply have conversation practice on your way to work, on your commute to work, on your lunch break in a cafe, from home whilst you're eating your dinner, maybe from the airport if you have a flight to catch and you're waiting and you've got lots of time to spare, you can do it. If you are a celebrity, if you're a CEO, if you're a very important person and you're self-conscious or you're embarrassed about learning a language, then online classes are great, because you can take a class, of course, from the privacy of your own home. And if you really, are concerned with your privacy, you don't even have to put your camera on. So as long as you're practicing your language skills, the rest is not a problem. Another really powerful feature is that you normally can schedule a trial class with a teacher. And this option allows you to test the teacher out. You can see whether you like that teacher's style, whether you like the material. And then, of course, after that, you can choose whether to proceed and book a number of classes, or whether to simply leave it and find another teacher, or just completely leave it and not have classes online ever again. Regarding my personal experience as a teacher, I've tried out lots of different platforms for teaching, and italki is my favourite. It's my favourite partly because it's really so flexible. You don't have to use a specific platform. italki does have its own platform for teaching, but you can also use third-party platforms such as Skype, Hangouts, whatever is the best option for you. And something that I absolutely love about teaching online is that I get to interact with people from all over the world. I've got students who are from Russia, Kuwait, Thailand, Brazil, Japan, Somalia, China, so many different countries. And on the one hand, I feel very privileged because I get to teach these fantastic students legal English. And on the other hand, my students are always challenging me to make sure that I'm developing my own skills as a legal English teacher, to make sure that I'm up to date on specific matters and specific terminology in lots of different areas. For example, negotiation, contract drafting, arbitration, mergers and acquisitions, intellectual property, the list goes on. So it's really very fulfilling for me as a teacher. And from the student's perspective, it allows them to find a teacher that they might not necessarily be able to find in their hometown. So if you've got any questions about italki, then leave me a comment, send me an email, whatever. I'm happy to answer any questions for you. And if you want to try out italki, if you'd like to try out a class, then you can visit go.italki.com/study legal English, and you will get $10 worth of free italki credits when you purchase your first italki class. And I will, of course, leave that link in the show notes. Finally, I'm going to leave you with one of my all-time favourite quotes, and that's a quote by Mark Twain. And it is this: 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed by the things you didn't do than the things you did do. Explore, dream, discover. Of course, I can tell you about italki. However, you're only really going to be able to understand it fully by trying it yourself. So why don't you give it a try? If you don't like it, you don't have to use it, but at least you know you've tried. So thank you for listening, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.